Up next on Art Rocks, Lake Charles artist Candice Alexander talks about the inspiration she gets from living near Louisiana's bayou.
Well, naturally, I did a crawfish. My mom and dad raised crawfish ever since I can remember.
Plus, the art of gaming.
And the game industry just keeps growing and growing, and there's no shortage of need for, creative people to come up with all the amazing ideas and content for games.
You'll meet a printmaker who draws inspiration from nature.
I keep hearing that you need to have a lot of courage in order to take a good-looking piece of art and then cut it up.
And finally, we'll introduce you to a potter who brings her work to life.
I would sculpt these face pots, and then I would search out plants that would make unique hair.
It's all ahead on this edition of Art Rocks.
Art Rocks is made possible by the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting and by viewers like you.
Thank you for joining us. I'm James Fox Smith, publisher of Country Roads magazine, and this is Art Rocks. To tour Candice Alexander's studio in Lake Charles is to feel the pride of everything that's symbolic of the culture that is uniquely Louisiana's. Candice also captures some things that we are not so proud of, but they're very much part of life on the bayous.
Well, naturally, I did a crawfish. My mom and dad raised crawfish ever since I can remember. So I did that piece for her business card, actually. I had a woman come up to me and, said that she wanted this huge mosquito for above her fireplace mantle. My kind of theory is I challenge anyone to come up with a better state bird design.
And then there's Louisiana's real state bird, the brown pelican.
I did the pelican fleur-de-lis New Year's of 2008, and I knew that would be one of my more popular designs. I have it in jewelry and cuffs.
Alexander says the fleur-de-lis is what really launched her career, and by sheer coincidence.
I got a commission when I was living in New York to do, this crazy fleur-de-lis piece, and of course, why would I do that? I'm from Louisiana, you see them everywhere. And little did I know the woman would never contact me back, so I was just kind of stuck with this original engraving of this plate. And when I came here in Lafayette, it just became really popular. So people fell in love with it. I fell in love with it, and from there on, it's just taken off.
And now there's a fleur-de-lis in many of Alexander's designs, including one of her favorites.
There's a piece called What We Love About the South. It's got the crawfish, it's got Mardi Gras, it's got a southern sunset background. So I kind of listen to what people want.
The artist has also discovered that people often want the symbols of their state woven into depictions of their profession.
I have probably 800 designs, and those 800 designs cater to the musician, the Mardi Gras queen, the roughneck, the doctor, any kind of medical piece that you are looking for, the real estate agent. I have all of that.
As Alexander's career has evolved, so have her interests. She says she has a new fascination with three-dimensional pieces.
I start with a drawing or a painting. Sometimes I print them out, sometimes I paint on top of the prints, and then I add lighting elements to them. If it's an orthopedic piece, I put a fake or a prosthetic hip bone in it. I'm working on a chiropractic piece right now. It's going to have a backbone, and the backbone is actually made of 3D piano pieces. They kind of come at you.
Alexander has originals and prints of many works throughout her 5,000-square-foot studio. The designs are not always on paper or canvas.
We have oven mitts, pot holders. The newest, coolest novelty, I guess, pieces would be the switch plate covers. Phone cases, we have probably 16 different styles of phone cases. Aprons, clothing, any kind of clothing, we print all of that in-house. iPad cases, bracelets, scarves, anything. We have about 80 products.
Alexander learned to make professional copies of artwork in college, an expertise that serves her well. She says she ships throughout the world, but most of her clients live in Louisiana. Perhaps that's one of the main reasons she spends a great deal of time trying to give back to Louisiana. Alexander has united both artists and school children in painting this 150 by 40 square foot mural on the side of the building she rents for office space. She says the people of Lake Charles are so proud of it, they're donating money to put art back in schools. The money is being used to pay an art teacher for low-income areas and to buy art supplies for students.
Candice Alexander gave us 4 fiberglass leaves that were blank, and she's allowing us to do historical events, both current and then past and present. So we picked 9/11, we picked an assassination of Abraham Lincoln, we picked Rosa Parks and bus boycotts, and then we haven't decided fully on the 4th one yet. They're really excited. They've produced way more sketches, and they're incredibly focused.
Students at Washington Marion High are also working on murals in their own school.
But we believe that creativity is what puts everything else, gives it a purpose and becomes useful. So I go into the schools, Washington Marion, and I teach the students how to conceive, design, and begin to complete a mural. And we use great supplies, I use great paint. I want them to learn on quality products and tools. They're envisioning the future, a brighter future, and that was the goal of this Mural Club, is to inspire others to think of what could be.
Candice Alexander says she learned much of what she needed to succeed in high school, and she wants to make sure others have the same opportunities.
4-H pretty much gave me the opportunity to do demonstrations, public speaking, showing a hog, sewing, cooking, you name it. And, you know, I don't think I would have a successful business if I wouldn't have been so active in 4-H.
You can view some of Candice's art and many products featuring her work at alexanderartstudio.com. No matter where you live in Louisiana, you can always find opportunities to enjoy great performances and the works of great artists. Here is just a little of what's going on right now across our state. For more information on these events, visit our website at lpb.org/artrocks. And to find more arts activities, check out countryroadsmag.com. Moving now to the arts scene on the West Coast, the Laguna College of Arts and Design in California gives students an extensive foundation in the digital arts, including game design, design and digital media, textile and action sports design. The dedicated staff of industry veterans give students the tools they need for the future.
I mean, I just got out of the room now talking to a student with her ideas for a game, and some of the most fresh and original things I've heard of, in a long time. When looking at student work, there's a couple different parts of it. There's the technical craftsmanship of being able to concept design a character or 3D model a character that would go in the game and use, to create on a computer. But then there's sort of that underlying creative instinct that they might have.
An instinct that's bursting beyond the gaming department. Senior Jessica Neckor uses her talents in digital media to raise consumer awareness about the clothing and retail industry. Inspired by the 2013 factory collapse in Bangladesh, Jessica created an app.
So the app is called Threadbare, and you could go to a store, take your phone, and then scan the barcodes, and then it would tell you the ratings of the different aspects about a company, like their sustainability, their workers' rights, and all of that. So it would give customers an option and more insight into the companies that they're supporting.
Julian Lozano's latest shoe design pays homage to his immigrant parents and their search for the American dream.
I made a shoe line that's taking Mexican embroidery on leather garments and pretty much placing it on this shoe.
An art school in a seaside artist community, the Laguna College of Art and Design, or LCAD, has called Laguna Canyon home since 1961.
It's a very small school. For the longest time, no one had really heard about us.
And small it has remained, but what the founding fathers of the 60s could not have predicted is LCAD's flourishing majors in game art, design and digital media, textile and action sports design. Working partnerships with heavyweights from DreamWorks, Vans, Hurley, Nike, and Blizzard Entertainment, keep the fickle nature of the industry on point.
We have fabulous faculty. First of all, they have street cred, and the students appreciate that.
Traditional studies in sculpture, illustration, drawing, and painting remain well represented, but much of LCAD's strength lie in its fearless following of applied arts and trends.
Ideally, I think that when they graduate, they want to get a job working in game development, video game development, right, as an artist. So that can involve being a concept designer, an environment designer, 3D modeling artist, or animator. Right now, games, there's so much that goes into creating them, and you need to have a certain skill level in traditional foundation art skills along with the technical requirements. And the game industry just keeps growing and growing, and there's no shortage of need for, creative people to come up with all the amazing ideas and content for games.
For LCAD students, the job search starts almost as soon as the acceptance letter is signed. The tech-savvy students find a voice for their unbound enthusiasm with guidance from industry-pedigreed veterans. Once on campus, it's easy to see that life in Laguna is sometimes inspiration in itself.
I do textile design, so my project last year was totally inspired by my painting on surfboards, a lot of florals. So I created some shoes with floral patterns, kind of like Hawaiian floral patterns, and then I also did apparel to go along with it. I'm actually designing a wetsuit right now, so I'm doing like a Vans Starfish, that's the name of my wetsuit line.
As the creative wheels turn within the walls of LCAD, practical application happens just outside the canyon, well before the students get their diploma.
So they really have to understand the design, the business, and then also what the world's doing, and to be ready to step into that scenario.
3 interns every 3 months skate through the doors of Vans corporate headquarters in Orange County, a partnership that is beneficial for both the college and the skate giant.
Because we're a small team and it's a small group, it's very personal. It's an instant bonding with them and bringing them into the team. They become a one of us. They become just an extension of our team, producing and working with us alongside. It's not we're dependent somewhat on them and their creativity to bring new ideas and fresh ideas. And the LCAD group has consistently been a really creative group for us to utilize as a resource.
And knowing that even the most innovative work environment can benefit from a fresh perspective is just good business and an unexpected payoff.
I think sometimes we become jaded in it as we're always producing stuff and you don't realize how excited, when they see that it's ending up in a catalog, or they see that, when we get the sample, and they're seeing the actual physical sample for the first time, you kind of get to live through that again through them, which is always awesome.
For more information on this art school, visit lcad.edu. We're taking a trip now to the Northeast. Printmaker Lou Stavall has lived and worked in Washington, D.C. since the early 1960s. At 78, he is still producing stunning prints that represent the beauty of nature. We sat down with Stavall in his studio to talk about what drives him to keep creating.
I arrived in Washington, D.C. in 1962 and found that it was just a wonderful place.
Lou Stavall is a passionate and prolific printmaker who has called the district his home since he arrived to study art at Howard University.
There was something welcoming about the environment, the atmosphere, and I decided after the second day that I would stay here.
As the civil rights movement grew in the early 60s, Lou found his skills as a poster maker in high demand.
Making the civil rights posters, saw myself as kind of a street artist, made the posters as fast as I could because whoever was asking for them wanted them because they wanted to be out on the street with them. When those posters were done, they were done. We didn't save them.
Lou's artistic inspiration has always been rooted in organic forms.
Growing up in Springfield, Massachusetts, before I came to Washington, I had this total love of landscape and trees and that kind of thing. And I never really liked drawing people because I'm primarily a nature person. The trees in D.C. really turned me on, in addition to all kinds of architecture around Washington.
In 1968, Lou decided to turn his workshop into a collaborative learning environment for the community.
Well, for a long time, one of the things that I did was open my studio to anyone who wanted to work with silkscreen printmaking. I had a relationship with the Corcoran Gallery where students could come and learn how to make silkscreen prints. And all the people who wanted to come and learn silkscreen from me, the trade-off was you had to teach a kid. So whatever students wanted to learn, there was some adult artist there to teach them.
Printmaking is a time-intensive process that often yields unexpected results.
And it's just a matter of running color and seeing how it looks. And then when it dries, I'll either add to it or I can probably delete some of it, by scraping it off. It's just free expression, that's all. The beauty of working the way that I work is that I never know what I'm going to come up with. So when it's abstract, it's the discovery that's most important.
Lou has experimented with a number of media throughout his career and has recently been developing a series of abstract three-dimensional pieces.
Over the years, the changes that I've had where art was concerned was going from representation to abstraction. And I much prefer the abstraction. And I found myself going back and forth to the abstract images over a period of time until I finally went totally abstract. I keep hearing that you need to have a lot of courage in order to take a good-looking piece of art and then cut it up. And I thought, I've got a lot of courage. I can do that. So I started cutting the prints up, but I'm also kind of a formalist. So I made sure that everything was in square and cut consistently. I try to make everything beautiful and challenging. So I'm always hoping that when someone sees something of mine that I've done, that they'll want more, but also that it'll inspire them to do some of their own.
Another treat in store for you, getting to know self-taught potter Debbie Loffing. Her passion for working with clay began as a teen. Since then, Loffing has incorporated metal into her pottery, creating sculptures, face pots, and yard art. The result? Some whimsical creatures. Take a look.
I've always thought that I would do art. From a very young age. I loved looking at art. I loved paints. I loved all of that. When I was 18, I started taking classes, just private classes. The first pottery class was very exciting, and I thought, this is me. This is me. I've got to do this. Working in pottery, it's the tactile, it's the feel of the clay. I love layers and building on those layers, and clay just allows you to do that. You can build anything out of clay, and that got me interested and keeps me coming back. I would like something like that. We started, my husband and I, going to garage sales and that kind of thing, and just picking up metal pieces that we really liked. Gears, pulleys, that kind of thing. I would see a piece and I would think, I can put a head on that, or I can make that into a dog. From that point then, that's when I start sculpting. And sometimes I throw pieces, like say the head or the body. I'll shape it like he has a fat belly or skinny arms. And then the next step would be to fire it. And then from there, I apply an underglaze, like a solid color over it. And then I'll come back and I'll do my China painting, which is layers of color. So you get some depth in your painting that way. And that's what makes the characters come to life then. I love taking an object and then turning it into something. When something's completed, I don't always love it at first. I have to kind of let it just kind of sit. And I've got to just kind of take it in. I always end up loving it, but that's not the first initial response. Sometimes I've spent so much time that I'm actually tired of that piece. So sometimes I have to just kind of get away from it. Or I have to see it through new eyes, like taking it to a show or something and having someone else see it. Being in my studio, it's kind of a meditation. Actually, I just kind of start fiddling around, and before I know it, I've been out there a while. And it's just, it's relaxing, and it's where I like to be. I'll work in small bursts and go out there because I know I need to get things done. When I'm just able to work at my own pace, I slow it down and take my time. I love gardening, and so I started making my own pots, which a lot of potters do. And I like whimsical faces. I would sculpt these face pots, and then I would search out plants that would make unique hair. I think they all have like this little story, and they're funny. We try to do funny and whimsical stories. The yard art is a collaboration of my husband and myself, and we started just kind of garage sailing and antiquing and that kind of thing. We found that we both appreciated rust, apparently, metal, and so then we built a totem together and just found out that we really enjoyed it. I think as an artist, a lot of times it's just what's in your heart. It's your taste and the aesthetics of what appeals to you. I love where I'm at right now. I love what I'm doing. I love that I can incorporate other things that I've learned over the years with my sculptures. I can China paint them, I can glaze them, I can use graphite on them if I want. I'm at a spot where even though I feel like a jack of all trades, it has helped me to get where I am. People get a kick out of seeing it, and that keeps me going. I love that. I love that people see humor and enjoy it.
For more information about Loffing's work, visit madrivermud.com. Now, we can't wrap up this edition of Art Rocks without showing off another Louisiana treasure, the work of Louisiana artist Conrad Albrassiere.
Louisiana's Capitol Park Museum in Baton Rouge recently secured a Conrad Albrassiere mural that once adorned an exterior wall of the old mental hospital in Algiers on the outskirts of New Orleans. The hospital was demolished, but fortunately this 49-foot wide mosaic will no doubt be around for many generations. Renowned artist Conrad Albrassiere perfected his techniques of creating art from glass and Italian marble while studying in his native Italy and in Mexico. This specific work was created in Italy with the assistance from 5 other artisans and then shipped to the United States. It took 5 months to complete in 1963. Given the thousands of tiles and the intricate patterns involved, it's amazing it didn't take longer. Art experts say that by the time Albrassiere completed this work, he was at the top of his game. They point to the shading surrounding the family reading, another family playing chess, children playing ball, the cherubs, the various animal scenes. Albrassiere was aware of the location where the mural would be displayed. He took great measure in creating environments that are healthy for children and their parents.
Much of Albrassiere's work was funded by the Works Progress Administration during and after the Depression. Now that's going to do it for this edition of Art Rocks, but remember, you can always watch episodes of Art Rocks at lpb.org/artrocks. That's also a great place to find out more about what's going on in the arts across our state. Until next time, remember, there are few things more rewarding and relaxing than enjoying great art, paintings, books and live performances. So see you next time on Art Rocks.